What's up, everyone?
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of In Black and White here on YFNA News. I'm your host, Rick Lockhart II.
Ooh, you finally added the second? You're finally
have...
saying it.
Yes,
You should have told me that beforehand. I wasn't prepared for it. I'm your other host, Ethan Micheal.
Welcome back. Yeah. Hey, listen, I know we had to take a brief moment out there, but we are back talking about racism in America. Rickianity is not a thing.
However, hashtag Rickianity.
It's not a thing. It's not going to be a thing. So glad to be back here with you, Ethan, man. We have a lot to talk about. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I will say I'm looking forward to the weekend very much, where I am hopefully going to get an abundance of sleep. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. Yourself?
Hey, you know, I'm still hanging in there, waiting for the job to bring me back because COVID-19 is a real thing and it's keeping people out of work like myself.
It's real?
Really, it's real. And if people would wear masks, maybe we could cut the spread down. But, you know, that's another show. Wear a mask.
Can I comfortably say that YFNA News stands behind you, respecting your neighbor and wearing a mask?
You sure can. And you can definitely say also that Rick Lockhart II, host of In Black and White, supports wearing a mask. The second. My father and I are two different people. Hey, a lot going on in the news. We're glad that you're here. It is Thursday night here in beautiful Chicago. Glad to have you all. Looks like we got some people that are joining us. So got a really deep discussion to get into this evening. You know, Ethan, as we've started some of our shows in the past, it seems that we still have no justice for Breonna Taylor. Still no justice. I'm at a loss that we're still at this point over 120 days or something like that, and there's still no justice. So we're still fighting. But hey, we do have, as we talk about Black women and the struggle that Black women also have in this inequality and racism. We're going to get into that a little bit later on tonight, but we are going to talk about this viral video, this video that's gone viral now, realistically, because news channels have reached out to her to talk to her about the experience. We're going to talk about the Confederate flag in Evanston, Illinois. So, Evanston, Illinois, Ethan. Can you believe this?
No, but I also can't believe this video just got removed right off our Facebooks and then just restarted again. That's really weird.
Oh no! After having it lined up, well, before we get to it, we'll have to thumb through that. But at least we have the video. We'll have the video. It's hey, for those of you that are watching, it's always great to see Ethan do production and host at the same time. He's a very multi-talented guy. We would not have this platform of the show if it wasn't for him. By the way, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you are clicking on that like button, subscribing as well, and then clicking the little bell to get the notifications for when YFNA News goes live.
And if you're watching this on Facebook, there is a link in the description of the video to bring you directly to our YouTube page where all the comments are happening.
Please do log on over to YouTube, watch it on YouTube, comment on YouTube. It is live. Hey, so the Confederate flag, man, this is an issue, right? It's still an issue. It's so many people are upset about pulling out statues and the Confederate statues, and then there's this Confederate flag.
So where is the difference here between Southern pride versus the flag being racist, and why is the flag considered racist?
Hey, I'm glad
you're understanding.
I'm glad you asked that. So for people who may be watching and aren't familiar with the Confederate flag, also known as the Rebel flag or the Dixie flag, the Confederate flag has a history of representing the Confederate States of America. And when we talk about the Confederate States of America and the industry that the Confederate States of America were fighting for in the Civil War, they were fighting to continue to hold on to the institute of slavery. So the Confederate flag really is a reminder, a notation, a representation even of slavery, of white supremacy, of racism. And for those who are still kind of on the fence about this, we can solidify it this way and say, in case you didn't know, which you probably should know by now, but if you didn't know, the South or the Confederate States, they lost the Civil War. So
They did?
essentially, they lost. We turned into the United States of America, and the Confederate States of America is not a thing. In addition to that, is again, as some people may or may not know, along with them losing the war, they lost slavery as well. But it seems that this flag still seems to be this representation of heritage of the South, a representation of Southern pride, if you will. And it's noted as being offensive to Black Americans and anyone who stands against racism. It's very similar to, or it's been parallel to, the Nazi symbol, the swastika. And I've even recently read somewhere that someone said, hey, Germany got it right. It's illegal to fly a swastika in Germany. We still in America, with the freedom of speech that everybody loves to throw around, have the Confederate flag being shown, flown, or displayed as freedom of speech. Many of you may have heard that there's been this controversy with the Confederate flag in NASCAR, in southern states, so on and so forth, being removed. I think Mississippi was the last state to remove the Confederate symbol off of their flag. I actually read that the Confederate flag actually has never historically, though it has never historically represented the Confederate States officially. So that was an interesting piece of information. Ms. Cynthia McDonald had a comment there, co-host of the 13% on YFNA News on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. She said, and treason. And I think that's one of the biggest things to note about the Confederate flag. It was treasonous against the American flag and against America. So I think it's always important to keep that in mind when we talk about how this symbol, this flag, still represents racism, and at the end of the day, makes people uncomfortable. And today we have joining us, you will show the video in just a moment, but there was a video that went viral of a young woman who, and her kids actually, who were on the beach in Evanston. I believe it was Lighthouse Beach in Evanston, Illinois. So what you should know about Evanston, Illinois is it's a very liberal-ish town or suburb in the Chicago area. Very diverse, if you will. And there was a Confederate towel that was hanging on the racks. I'll let her get into the story as we discuss with her. There's been a lot of conversation around this video. She's been getting calls and interviews lined up from so many different people. So we're glad to have her on our show this evening. We may actually have the debut exclusive on YFNA News in black and white. I don't know. I'm just going to put that out there. But lady,
that's true. I mean, before she's going on the other news stations, she's coming down here. So that's pretty cool.
She came to YFNA News first, and I love it. Please welcome Mrs. LaShandra to the show. Thank you so much, LaShandra Rayfield, for joining us.
You are hilarious. I think the news network may have beat you, but you did schedule the interview first.
I'll go with that.
You did schedule it first, so that's what's up.
Not to mention, for some of you all, she told me not to call her Superwoman, so I won't call her Superwoman. But let me tell you all of what she is capable and able to do while being an activist. And fighting against racism, creating anti-racism spaces, and creating educational tools and seminars as well for anti-racism work. She is a mother of two. She is a teacher. She does it. Oh, a four. I'm sorry, I only saw the two kids.
Nice job, Rick.
Four. She was teaching her daughter how to drive earlier when I talked to her on the phone, and I was like, her daughter's like, I know how to drive, and I'm like, you do it all. So, LaShandra, thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you guys for having me on your platform. This is fun. This is my first kind of setting like this. I'm enjoying it. It's nice.
Well,
thank you.
I hope you can come back too as we continue this anti-racism work that we have in our country. So, LaShandra, let's take a moment to take a look at the video that you posted, that you went live on Facebook with, that has gotten a lot of reaction. I've posted it on my page. You have people with all kinds of different views and perspectives. Let's take a look at a little bit of the video so people have a chance to check out what's going on here and what we're talking about.
And this is on my beach. So since we get to be out here in freedom of speech, right? This is where we are. This is Lighthouse Beach. I happen to be the only Black person on the beach, and I can't feel comfortable in my own neighborhood. So look around. The mayor said it was fake news, but obviously it's not. So here you go, Evanstonians. You guys should come. I do have a problem, actually. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm live, actually. I feel like, we're in a public place. That's freedom of speech. You'll be all right. I'm okay. That's not causing me physical harm, even though it makes me uncomfortable in a place that I pay taxes and rent. Let's not do this. No. Yeah, no, let's not do this. Let's just. You have every right to be okay with him being there, and then speak up on it. Then speak up on it. Then speak up on it. If it bothers you, teach your children to speak up on it. Absolutely. And everyone has a right to have their opinion. And I have my opinion. It's not fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. If it was, then have a problem with me. That's perfectly fine. You teach your children to speak up against this type of thing. Why am I arguing with a man of color about this flag?
Because I fucking fought to defend this flag.
No, you didn't. You fought to defend the flag that had 50 stars on it. You fought to defend a flag that had 50 stars on it. Ridiculousness.
There, you see, that's all you had to do.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
No, do not. I'm sorry. Don't tone police me. And because you don't have the courage to stand up against that, that doesn't mean that you do. You fought for a flag that had 50 stars. They lost the battle. This is the United States of America, not the Confederacy. Excuse me.
Yeah, nothing. People like you shit through this country.
You're hilarious. You're hilarious. Like I said, I'm not going to argue with a man of color about that flag. It's stupid. I'm talking to them. I'm putting them out on blast. Thank you for taking it down. If you have a state, that's fine. You can like him. And thank you. I respect you too. But I also want to let you know that flag, I'm talking to them. I did have to do it because you sat right here next to him and said nothing. You said not. You should be sick of that.
I'm not sick of it because I'm not bothering anyone. You're the one bothering people.
Then walk on. Because I was speaking to them. Then walk on. Because it should bother every single person on this damn beach. I have children that go to school here. I pay taxes here. Then teach your children to stand up against that. They lost the war. I don't. But you know what? That speaks. Thank you very much. What did you say? It says it all. I'm sorry. If you were, that right there is my swastika. That's what that is. You would not put a swastika. Actually, the reason why I showed up is because everyone in Evanston sees that flag. A photo was already taken. My point is, that flag right there is my swastika. You post it on, you put it up on this beach. Yes, I'm going to come out every single freaking time to tell you they lost the damn war. This is the United States of America, not the Confederacy of America. That flag had validity for like 2 freaking years. You do. And I have the right to tell you right now that right there is a racist symbol of hate. There you go. You heard what I said. It's a racist symbol of hate. So then my question to you is, how does that flag hold any relevance to you today in this country today? You vote in elections that have 50 stars on the flag. What does that flag have to do with today? If you aren't a racist, then why are you holding that flag up? Then why are you holding the flag up? Explain yourself then.
On the beach like you to get attention from all of Facebook.
That flag calls attention to you.
That flag's been all over Facebook before we got.
The reason why I showed up to this beach is because of that. I'm leaving. Don't worry.
You guys first. We're gonna talk to them.
I'm leaving.
We want to talk to you guys first.
Yeah.
That's great. It should have been dealt with.
So, have a good day.
I don't like the flag either, but these guys aren't bothering anybody. This is nonsense.
I'm sorry. That's so sad. The problem is that it is bothering somebody. It bothers me. So I don't have value. So it bothers me. It bothers her. Okay. So that means because it doesn't bother you, doesn't make it valid. So you're the one man of color out here that doesn't bother, so it makes it okay.
Yeah, you know why? I risk my fucking life for guys that.
You didn't risk your fucking life for that flag. You have no idea who I am, sir. You can't tell me what I've done for this country. You have no idea who I am. I know what I'm doing right now, standing up for this country, and my flag has 50 stars on it.
Hey, come on. There are kids here.
Again, I haven't said one swear word. You have.
I curse.
So no, I'm gone. I'm done.
All right,
I'm saying, think about what that flag represents.
Yeah, I did curse.
Damn.
I got hot and I lost it. My filter fell off. I apologize I did apologize to the poor teenager afterwards. I was like, I'm sorry, teens. The teacher, Miss Rayfield, she slipped. She cursed.
I mean,
my
in your
apologies.
defense, he cursed first. All right,
But
so
yeah, I was so taken aback, man. He went in on me and I was like, oh, hold it together. And them little things slipped out. Yeah, you cut it off right before I offered to pay the man for his flag.
I was gonna get to that for it. And nobody, it's
Pay the man for his flag?
Yes.
She did.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. So let's start with this, LaShandra, because there's so much here. There's so much to cover. So let's start with how did you end up going down there? You mentioned it in the video. There were pictures on Facebook. What happened? Talk to us about what drove you down to that beach.
So if you know anything about Evanston, it really is like a little big town, right? And so everyone is connected through some type of like parenting group, anti-racist group, inclusion group. Like there's so many groups in Evanston that keep really like their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the town. So like I down from like me getting a text from my Evanston mama saying, your kids just rolled through the intersection with their helmets off. You know what I mean? Like it literally is like a kind of a small town feel with the mamas and even the anti-racist group. So someone posted, I can't even tell you which group it was posted on because it went just that fast to multiple groups. And I literally was like, no, not Evanston. No.
Right, not Evanston, like Evanston.
Like, come on, y'all. Like, so who's up here photoshopping things on Evanston? I really did. I fully, wholeheartedly was like, that's some, Yeah. So
Sure.
and I got a link. I got a text message or some type of communication from one of the other mamas, right, saying that the mayor had gone down there and said that it was fake. Fake. In the words they put was fake news. I said, all right. I said, I'd already gotten up. I said, yo, guys, put your shoes on. Let's go and see if it's really fake. Because I just know, not in the community where I live, is this on the beach. Like, come on. Seriously, I went to Northwestern for undergrad. I've hung out at that beach many times. It's not the most racially diverse beach, but what I'm saying, that's okay. But it wasn't like a beach that swastikas and Confederate flags were allowed to hang on, at least in my memory. And so I had bribed my kids. I was like, we're going to go and see if this is real. I know it's fake. So on the way back, we'll go grab some ice cream. That was my plan. Okay. When we get down there, you could see the flag hanging over the fence from the walkway going down the dune. And so I talked to the lifeguard. I was able to talk my way onto the beach because we pay for our beaches in Evanston. Okay, so I was able to talk my way. They weren't accept. I brought cash. The cash you saw in the video in my hand was the cash that I actually brought to pay to get onto the beach because I hadn't gone and get my tokens yet. And so because of COVID, they wouldn't accept cash. So I said, well, I was dressed in this workout gear. I was like, well, I'm not getting in the water. I'm not staying. I just want to see something really quickly. And so when I went over there, if you notice in the video, I did not address. I addressed my Facebook followers. I started filming live and talking to my followers about me feeling unwanted and unsafe in my community. I only talked to them when he said, "Do you have a problem?" And I was like, "Well, the door is open," so I just walked in. And so I am, like I said to you before, I kind of like pre-interview. I work in education. I'm very, very cognizant of we call it wordsmithing. You know what I mean? I try very, very hard to tailor my words and use, language precision when I'm dealing with students, when I'm teaching adults, what have you. I try really, really hard to do that. And so I really spend a lot of time kind of thinking about how I think and how I act because, again, I'm live, right? So I'm trying to be representative of my kids who are standing behind me. And I realize most people don't think like that, but I work for a network that's public and known in the city. So I am internally checking myself as I do things. That's why I did not want to curse, but I kind of went there, But what really got my goat was the guy in the yellow shirt, though. You know what I mean? I feel like being this color in America, you're kind of taught to deal with overt racists, right?
Yeah.
I did, but there was no anger in my tone towards that group. I asked that man multiple times and the group to explain themselves. I said, if I'm misunderstanding you, by all means, show me, tell me, teach me what it is that you are trying to say with that. Because as far as I know, you can't buy a Confederate flag in the Walmart. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, not up here, not in the Chicagoland area, at least I thought, unless you go like way
do it down south. I don't know. But I was like, he added that to his cart somewhere and got that delivered to him along with those shorts, what have you. So he was intentional. She who had the tattoos and they were intentional in those purchases and those statements they were trying to make. And so he's telling me he's not a racist. I said, well, then explain yourself, you know? And that's where, you know, honestly, where racism always breaks down, because it's, you know, when something is based on a lie, you can't defend it. Your defense breaks down after, you know, we could go back and forth a couple times, but by, you know, eventually they stopped talking, which is, you know, they stopped talking. I was really offended by the gentleman that stood next to them, sat next to them, had his children out there, people who walked on by. You know, you saw them walking by in the video, people who were on the beach. I know where I live. I know that Evanston has a very diverse culture. We have a large Jewish community here. We have a pretty decent Black and mixed community here. People from all different gender identifications. I know darn well that on that beach, there were people that fit those other categories. I may have been the darkest person on that beach, but I definitely wasn't the only other on that beach.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that gentleman too. Ethan, you had something that you wanted to ask.
Yeah, Rick, check your private chat for a second. It's pertaining to a possible good thing.
I responded. I think that would be a great idea, actually.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. Hey, y'all win the lottery?
No. We actually
we have somebody who from the military that wants to come on and, you know, speak to make a few comments on what he witnessed.
Okay, that's cool.
But before we get to that, so when there've been you've gotten attacked with comments and questions and accusations, right? I put it on my page, and the dialogue is still going. Like, I think even though the video I think now might be removed. Thank you for that, by the way. But the conversation is still going on my page. LaShandra, many people or some people may ask, and maybe you've gotten this. Did you even attempt to try to talk to them directly? Why go and attack them? And I think that you articulated that in how you ended up in a conversation with them. They opened the door. You were on your Facebook Live. You mentioned also that the mayor mentioned that it was fake news.
Yeah. So, and I, you know, again, when things are given to you, you know, via hearsay, I wasn't 100% sure because, again, I'm on all these multiple platforms, right? And so, but I spoke to him today. He introduced himself to me today. So,
I'm telling you, you're blowing up. I need your autograph. I'm putting this out there now. You can't say no on live TV when I ask you for your autograph.
No. I'm doing, you know, and I was asked the question about some, you know, kind of in lines of what you're saying. And I was like, I don't ask anyone to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. You know what I'm saying? And so people have said, like, you know, you're out there. Why would you go out there? You know, attention grabbing, things like that. And I was like, because I live here. I live here. I had just taken my son on a bike ride a few weeks prior to that and explained to him that this was his safe zone. I had given him a cutoff on how far north to go. And so the part of his safe zone had a Confederate flag hanging on it. So then, you know, so that whole thing about, you know, we're fine and it's okay. And, you know, you just want to videotape because it's attention. I was like, when you hung that flag on that fence, you fully knew exactly what you were doing. So please tell me, trollers or audience or what have you, why is it that it's more offensive for me to stand up against it than it is for them to hang it on the gate in the first place? I don't understand the questioning behind that. So I'm supposed to be demonized because you want to paint me as an attention grabber. I was at home at my home office, my work from home office. I was doing work, you know what I'm saying? And my flipping back and forth between my computer and my phone, and this picture pops up. So I'm supposed to be okay with that. And I would argue, okay, I've spoken to dozens upon dozens of my Jewish friends. They were like, if that was a swastika, hell no. Excuse me, I don't be allowed to curse on this. You know,
I mean, the video covered a couple of them, so we're good.
Okay, all right, that's good. You know what I mean? And so just the problem is that the education around the swastika has been conclusive. You know what I mean? Has been informative, has been thorough, has been over generations. The conversation and education around the Confederate flag and its symbols and the racism in this country has been skewed and tainted, and they use different words, and they want to call us indentured servants and servants in Texas, and they want to call us, you know, almost like co-workers in other states. And you look at, you grab a history book from every corner of this nation, and it'd be difficult to find a common thread around how they describe the enslavement, the enslavement of humans, the rape of humans, the beating and torturing of humans, because of course they say we brought over slaves. No, you brought over humans. You brought over educated people. You brought over mothers, fathers, grandmothers, aunties, uncles, children that had in that time, whatever their career was, whatever their trade was, they had that, and you brought them over here and you enslaved them, and that means you kidnapped them. In modern day terms, you kidnapped them. You sold them into sex trafficking. You held them hostage. See, language matters. And so if you have those words talking about the swastika and the horrors of the Holocaust, then those same type of words need to be talked about the genocide of Blacks that were brought over to the Americas during slavery. And on top of that, don't argue with me about how long ago that occurred. It's been 155 years, I believe, if I did my math right recently, since Juneteenth, right? Mm-hmm. Since the last slaves in Texas were technically free.
Correct.
155 years. We have folks today that couldn't be told what to do for 3 months. They couldn't be remanded to their homes for 3 months before they showed up at courthouses and with rifles and guns and assault gear, right? 3 months you couldn't deal with it. 400 years we dealt with it, right? So I'm sitting here going, I don't understand. And also, and this is my last statement. I'm sorry, I'll let you get back to it. My last statement is, if you talk, and I know I'm glad this gentleman from the military is coming on, but you talk to people who served in the military, right? Talk to them about how you get PTSD, right? So you can get PTSD from a single event.
That's
from
correct.
a single event that will affect you for the rest of your life, will affect everyone around you for the rest of your life from one single event. Now, I want you to think about that one event and multiply it by every single enslaved African that was brought to this continent. Multiply it by their number, then multiply it by multiple times a day, multiple years, inflict it upon their children, for the next. So even the act of giving birth to a child becomes a traumatic event, because you know that you're giving birth to someone who's going to have to be brought up in the institution of slavery and be subjected to the same harsh reality that you are. But we're supposed to get over it.
Yeah. That's always the thing.
You see what I'm saying?
To get over it. I tell people all the time, you know, we don't talk enough about, and Miss Cynthia McDonald is really good for this, being a part of the American Descendants of Slaves movement, that the Black Africans were victims of chattel slavery. That's not just regular slavery. That's not indentured servitude. That is chattel slavery. On top of the sex trafficking, on top of every other horrific thing, the lynching that came at Jim Crow. And you look at Jim Crow is still relevant to people who are alive to this day. Still, right. People who have experienced Jim Crow, both Black and white, are still alive to this day. So what that mentality has is it's intergenerational. It's being passed down from generation to generation still to this day. We have a Confederate flag towel, which I remember hearing at the end of the video. The gentleman also had Confederate trunks on too, which he tried to cover up with Confederate flag. Whatever. That's just too much. but it's still there. It's still relevant, and it still needs to be addressed. It needs to be called out, and the people who call it out should not be bastardized or demonized for calling it out. That's what you did here. We're going to talk about the man, the gentleman of color, who had something to defend there. But has Kenneth been able to join us as a man of the military?
Nope. I'm waiting for him to join. We were trying to save time towards
Cool.
the end, but if you have time now, Kenneth, and you're watching, now would be the great opportunity to join. I should
before we bring our other guest on.
I should have had that call in proactive. And Brandye, we do see you in the green room. We'll bring you on a little bit later.
Excited about Brandye too. So the gentleman of color, and here's why I think it's very important to have this conversation and around people who need to see this as well. Black people and people of color, but specifically Black people, have this innate training, if you will, to defend what happened there, that racist behavior and action, just to keep the peace. And it's something that he said. You had a very direct conversation with him about the flag that he actually fought for. You said that he offended you a little bit more. Talk to us a little bit about, from your perspective, why that was a little bit more offensive.
Real quick, before we get into that, we do have Kenneth on the line and available.
Oh, awesome.
How are you?
Man, I had to go to the park because I was getting so heated rewatching that video.
Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you, LaShandra, when I posted the video, Kenneth actually was right on top of, like Johnny on the spot, confronting someone who was defending the action. Kenneth, before we hear from you, LaShandra, go ahead and tell us a little bit about why that was offensive to you, how that made you feel, and why you chose to address him in the manner in which you did.
Well, a lot of times, there's like three things that kind of get stuck with me with that situation. One, I'm disappointed in America at the moment, but it doesn't make me less proud to be an American. You see what I'm saying? As an American, we get to say we live in the greatest country in the world, and we also get to say we ain't there yet. Let's do this better. Right? So we have that is, maybe I'm optimistic, maybe I'm too optimistic, but I've traveled to other countries and I recognize the blessings that we have here. So to say, when people say things like, you say Black Lives Matter and you're being anti-others, I'm like, no. To know, so you don't have to know me personally. All I'm saying is, I'm not saying anyone else doesn't matter. I'm saying that you all do, obviously. But right now, these are the people who need the help, people who look like me. And so I'm going, it's kind of costing me and saying, I've never done anything for my country when I feel like my passion, what drives me in education, is exactly that: a service to my country, a service to those that are less than. I work in a demographic that, 16 to 21-year-olds, that 40% of them are declared homeless. We feed them, we wash their clothes. I'm sitting here going, I don't have to be on the front line, but I damn sure every day work to better not only, the lives of other students, but also to inform those around me. So that's one. Two, I have veterans that are in my family. They have died in fire. I'm like, come on, man. Not no one in my family that has fought in any of these wars would sit back and say they fought for that flag. And I'm going, you have something men and women who are actively on the line right now. You have something in those that have come before us. I was like, you did not fight. They rebelled against the flag that we fly right now. Right. So how, and we think about it, I can think that's the number of years ago, but the Confederacy lasted that long. Slavery lasted longer than the Confederacy. It's not like you're supporting an ideal. So I was dumbfounded by that. And then my last thing was, you are a man of color attacking a woman of color in public in defense of hate and racism. And that one just totally got my goat. I was raised by men that defend their women. They make sure we get to our places safely. They make sure that we're good. You know what I mean? You good, sis? You good, queen? You good? They make sure that we're good. I have no idea what his ethnicity is. I have no idea what, whether or not he was mixed, if he was black. I have no idea. I just know that his melanin was closer to mine than theirs.
Right.
And so my expectation was that this brother should stand up. Oh, okay, you know what? Stand up and defend me versus take their side. And when he shook their hand, I was outdone. And what he did was he canceled the lesson that I was trying to teach them, because I became the stereotypical angry Black woman, and he became, the righteous the righteous Black man came to their defense in that handshake. And so that's why I was taking so long.
We have a lot of work to do, and we're going to get into that a little bit later on too, LaShandra. Thank you for sharing. Kenneth Leonard joining us as well, a man who has fought for our country, for the flag that we fly to this day. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us for a minute. What do you got?
Yeah. Man,
thank you for
guys
your service, man. Seriously.
No, thank you. Honestly, like as you were speaking, I didn't want to come on and take any time away from you, LaShandra, because I was telling Ethan in messages to him, I was just so impressed, and you handled that with so much grace and class, and what you were just saying about wanting America to be like the best version of itself. I have to think that we're still in the process of establishing our national identity, because there's so much shame and so much nastiness in our history, and the only way that we're going to get to anywhere near our full stature as a country is if more people do exactly what you did today, in my opinion. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
But man, that simple ass dude got me so heated when I was watching that show, because so I grew up on the West Coast, and I got stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina when I went into the Army, and I couldn't believe it when I got stationed there. I went into Fayetteville, North Carolina, and the center of the town, it might not still be this way, I haven't been out there in a long time, but in 2007 anyways, was the old slave market. And they would do these tours, like, look at our beautiful old slave market. And coming from California, I was like, is everyone just cool with this? And I would see the flags. And a friend of mine that I met in the Army, who's a Black man from Alabama, educated me on the history of that flag, and how it was never even the official Confederate flag. It was a battle flag of the armies of Virginia, but everybody thinks it's the Confederate flag who flies it, because, spoiler alert, they're not exactly up on their history. And the more like rectangular version that you see was like a naval flag, but it was never even the flag of the nation. It was just some symbol that stuck. And the question is, and what LaShandra was speaking to, is what it is a symbol of. And it's so obvious to anybody being honest about it. Like you said, you can't just go into the Walmart and pick up your Confederate towel. You got to special order that thing. You've got to make an effort to be spreading this iconography of hate. And to say that you fought for that flag, to me, then this is kind of the whole thing I wanted to come on and say. There is no difference between flying that flag and if somebody had gone and put on his little replica Nazi uniform and gone goose stepping down the beach in Evanston. It's the same thing. You're flying the flag of an army that was an enemy of the United States. And everything that they were fighting for is the complete opposite of everything we're supposed to stand for. It's disgraceful.
It's very similar to what LaShandra mentioned even in the video. That's our swastika. That's what that is. And unfortunately, I think for those gentlemen, that family, I don't know if they're ever going to get it. Who knows? I mean, but I think for the gentleman who attempted to utilize his status as a vet, as well as a person of color, and not standing in defense of LaShandra and attempting to utilize that to say, hey, let's just keep the peace. We still, even as Black people or as people of color, because I don't know what ethnicity he was, but I do know that we still have a long way to go ourselves in understanding that stand up against hate when you see things like that. The bottom line is call out that behavior. And if they happen to be put on blast, they're on blast. Who cares? Yeah. Everybody needs to see it.
The fact that the response was let's not do this. But not to the person flying the racist ass flag, but to LaShandra. I was just like, what are you doing, dude? What, I mean, just turn 45 degrees and be like, let's not do that. You're talking to the wrong person. You got to be like to them, let's not do this. Like,
and he kept saying that there were children here. And, and again, like, I'm a mother. I've been teaching since 2002. And I was like, did you just say there were children here? And then after you started to swear, you cursed me out.
Yeah.
Okay, you cursed me out in front of your children. Your daughter, one of those children was a girl. Your daughter's standing right here. So your kids are witnessing you curse out a woman who looks closer to their father than they do to the people on the other side. Yeah. What does that say? What lesson does that say?
What does that teach? Exactly.
What does that teach? And all the other kids that were out there on the beach was like, absolutely. And like I said, I told you earlier, I did apologize to the lifeguards for my profanity. I was like, guys, sorry for for that. And technically speaking, I was trespassing, so I did leave before the cops got there.
Well, I think the late and great Congressman John Lewis, my wonderful fraternity brother of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, would say that was good trouble to get into.
Good trouble.
That was good trouble. Yeah. Hey, Kenneth Leonard, anything you want to wrap up with?
I just hats off to LaShandra all day. There's nothing I could possibly add to what you did out there. I mean, it was just perfect. But I just couldn't stand that dude trying to use his military service to validate hate and everything that comes with those symbols. It just disgusted me. So again, I salute LaShandra's service, and thank you for letting me just vent because that was too much.
Kenneth, as always, man, thank you for your service, and we'll see you back on YFNA News real soon.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being an ally, seriously, and thank you for fighting on our behalf, and in the armed services, because we need people like you. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a coward. I'm gonna stay right here with my kids.
Stop it. Thank you, guys. Have a night.
Thanks, Kenneth. So before we go to our next segment, and I'm so grateful for you sharing your experience with us, LaShandra. What is it that you want people to gather, or learn from this experience that you had as you continue to move on and other people get a chance?
I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. The video kept playing on my computer. Sorry about that.
What is it that you want people to know?
All right, thank you. I guess the biggest thing that I want people to know is that it doesn't take. I've been getting accolades, and I appreciate it, but I don't handle compliments well, I guess, because I'm always like, okay, yeah, stop all that. And the reason why is because it's not, it didn't take any extra courage to do what I did. You know what I'm saying? Like, people somehow allow fear to tell them that it takes some type of like superhero, supernatural type of force to get you to make even the smallest difference. And I don't remember what movie it was that I watched or what show I was watching, but the gentleman in the show was telling a younger person that just be brave for 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? And say, and so I was telling the people who, the reporters today, they asked the same question, and I was just like, we protect them we use and we hide behind freedom of speech, right? And we say that they have the right to express themselves, and that's very true. But that also means that we have the right to express ourselves. And if you don't feel brave enough to stand there for 12 minutes and however many seconds my video lasted, you can be brave enough to say, hey, man, take that down. And then the person next to you says, hey, man, take that down. And then if everyone in there says, hey, man, take that down, how many seconds was that statement? You see what I'm saying? It was less than 30 seconds. So, but it becomes a crescendo of take that down. We don't want that. It's not accepted. And so then the question of whose comfort matters means that I shouldn't be uncomfortable going to a beach in my community. You should feel uncomfortable because you are out here spewing hate. But it doesn't require one person to do what I did. It requires everyone to do what I did. And I would just repeat it, like if you could be brave for 30 seconds or less and get the person next to you to do the same thing, then that 30 seconds becomes a minute, becomes 5, becomes 10, you see what I'm saying? And then the momentum becomes a loud voice that stands up against that, and then they're forced to leave. They're forced to go hide because they have no defense. Because I never asked that man to leave. I did ask him to explain himself and to take it down. I never asked him to leave. I said he wasn't welcome. I didn't say he wasn't welcome. I asked him to take it down.
Right.
But people want to talk about you attacked them. No, the lady said I was yelling. I'm on a beach during a pandemic, lady. You're way over there. I'm respecting your 6 feet or more distance. I'm yelling.
And you had a mask. I saw it. You had a mask. It was there.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, so I'm respecting. I said, yes, I am yelling, but you are upset about what? You're upset about my voice, my tone, about the video. Everyone is upset about all the low-hanging fruit, but no one's upset about the darn racist symbol on the gate. You know, so yeah. I would just say that. I would say choose to be brave for 30 seconds. Do something that's outwardly, overtly anti-racist in those 30 seconds. Get the person next to you to do the same thing.
Overtly anti-racist. That sounds like being a, you know, or at least for me, being a white troublemaker.
Hey, I'm all about. You see, I don't know if you saw the news. I had a bunch of them behind me today. I was so happy. I was like, look at these people. I got the anti-racist AF behind me. Yes, because I literally before the meeting, I spoke to Fox News Chicago today, and before they showed up, I was like, I cannot go there by myself. Based on the conversation that we had, Rick, and what have you, I was like, yeah, nah, we're not doing no more lone wolfing, you know. And so I sent out literally like 4 sentences. I was like this. I said, I thought about it. I revised my thought. I'm going to the beach. Who can join me? That's what I said.
Well, which I saw after most people didn't get a chance to see, but you posted also on your page that there were a gang of people who came with Black Lives Matter signs, posted that in front of them. You speaking out really did cause, you know, yours was 12 minutes, but if somebody could have done 30 seconds, it definitely would have been a domino effect. Unfortunately, though, it had to come at the cost and the expense of you being the angry Black woman and addressing the situation, which I think we need to get away from that narrative and just call a thing, as it's been said, as you did. Hats off to you for that. Ethan, did you have anything before we move on?
No, I the way Kenneth worded it and the way LaShandra, I am so tongue-tied. The way she shared her story, I think she hit the nail on the head, and I do think more people need to begin standing up and working together. Like, we need to educate people better, particularly on the Confederate flag, since there are still people in this country who think it's just Southern pride and think that, you know, while it is a freedom, it kind of makes you an asshole. Like,
it does.
It really does, right? Like, really?
But it's up in the north. Like, how are you flying Southern pride?
Right.
Like,
you see why I was like, no. Like, I was like, come on.
You want to tell me when I saw it and you were like, it's in Evanston? I'm like, you're kidding. This is not Evanston.
You see what I'm saying? I told you, I call Evanston my Mayberry. I was like, no, not in Mayberry. But I guess Mayberry was the South, though. I don't know. You know.
Hey, so we have another guest joining us on the show, joining LaShandra as well, host of 2 podcasts, actually. Dammit, I Ain't Angry podcast and Take This L. Please welcome Miss Brandye Elle joining the show.
Hi, Miss Brandye.
Well. Brandye,
hi, Miss LaShandra. Hey,
nice
Ethan. Hi, brother. It's nice to meet you too. I was so excited when my brother told me you were going to be here. I'm like, yes, I'm with it.
So wait, this your sister?
Yes, this is my.
That's what's up.
This is my dope sister. So for those that are watching, this is my older sister who.
Wait, really? I didn't know that, dude. Come on.
I put it in the messages. I said this.
Really? I'm his older sister.
It is a pleasure to meet Rick Lockhart's sister. Hi, Brandye. How are you?
No, you said that wrong, Ethan. It is a, you know what I'm saying? It's I know it's Rick Lockhart's sister, but you said that no, he is Brandye Wine's brother. That's what you're supposed to say.
Oh.
That's really what it is. If people don't understand.
Hi, Ethan.
So Brandye is joining us, everyone, for our segment called White Troublemakers. We had a question come in from one of our white troublemakers, and hey, Ethan, what is a white troublemaker?
Well, I don't know. I guess I hope I'm a white troublemaker. It's overtly
Well-
anti-racist white dude.
Well,
Yes,
Sorry,
that's
sorry.
what it is.
White person.
yes,
People
indeed.
who speak out against anti-racism, white people who are looking to make trouble and fight for anti-racist behavior.
I like it.
But-
I like it.
We have Miss Brandye Elle, who is the creator of, in our comments and watching us today, who's the curator of White Troublemakers. And she gets some questions that people want to ask. And our question today, I wanted to invite Black women to be able to answer this question because I can't answer it. Well, I can, but I just thought Black women would be better suited to answer the question. So the question reads for Brandye and LaShandra, if you can share your experience, and I'll get into the reason why we want to address this with you ladies. The question says, I am fascinated with Black women's hair, and I often want to compliment them. This might sound stupid, but is it okay for me to do that? I don't want to be inappropriate, and I know I'm probably overthinking it. So there's a little history here before you all answer the question for those that are watching. There seems to be this fascination that white people have with Black hair. Just put it out there. There is this fascination with white people and wanting to touch Black people's hair. I don't know if we lost Brandye there, but she has a beautiful picture that's framed right there. I love it. But it is a fascination.
So you're not joking with me right now. You're being serious.
No, he's being 100% serious.
100% serious. White people have a fascination with Black people's hair. Can I touch your hair? Oh my God, your hair's so pretty, without even asking it, putting your hand on in someone's hair. It's a thing. This happens.
Especially, and with your children, especially
with kids. I don't. Whew.
That's just kind of creepy.
And truly, thank you, Ethan.
Yes, Ethan, it is kind of creepy.
Thank you, Ethan. It is creepy.
I can't even imagine walking up to a stranger of any group and being like, "Oh, your hair." That's really weird.
Yeah.
It is very weird. I've had it happen to me.
That's a thing.
I had it happen to me as I was growing my hair out. I had it happen to me when I actually grew my locks out, and having locks, it always happened. Somebody white wanted to touch my hair. So I felt it would be great to pose this question to both LaShandra, and hopefully if we get Brandye back too as well, to kind of maybe discuss your experiences with this particular issue. Before I get into it, Brandye has rejoined us. Brandye,
yes, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Technology. It happens.
Right.
Tell us just a little bit about the shows that you host, your podcasts, and where people can find you.
I host two. The first one that has been going on for a few weeks now is called the Dammit I Ain't Angry podcast. We go live typically on Mondays around 8-ish, women in our time. So we're going to say 8-ish p.m. on Mondays. We go live on Facebook on I Ain't Angry page. I also recently started, it's called Take This L, L-E. And Ms. Brandye Elle, that name. Thank you so much for that. Yes, and like my baby, it is brand new. So I will be ideally sing on Sundays. We'll see how that plays out.
Good. Well, you're kind of going in and out a
But
little
it's
bit,
coming.
Brandye. Just a heads up. I don't know if you might be able to get a little bit closer to a modem or plug into a hard line, but just a heads up for you there. So, ladies, share with us, how can a person go who's...
I noticed. I don't know what's going on.
Uh-oh.
I think
Marsha
Marsha
to my phone. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, while we wait for... Oh, she back?
Brandye, is it possible to move closer to your router, or
I'm not...
Are you on a mobile device?
I will move to another space. I don't know what's going on. Normally, this is not... a tablet, yes.
I had to switch to my phone, Brandye, because none of my devices work. So I've been holding my phone up like switching arms for the past 50 minutes.
My laptop...
Yeah, none of my
My
devices.
laptop wouldn't work. It would not work.
Yeah.
I'm sure
know.
Ethan was looking at me in the green room. I was moving around trying to figure out what's working, what's not working.
Wait, so what was your question? You was like, how do
Let
you
me move to
respond?
another spot.
How do you respond to that? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So how would you tell us a little bit maybe about your experiences with people wanting to touch your hair? How can someone, as if they wanted to compliment your hair, if they wanted to say something to you, what's the best way to address or approach that situation for someone who's fascinated with Black women's hair?
She can just stop overthinking it and say, "Oh, I like your hair."
So
You know what I mean? Like, isn't that what you would do if you were talking to a person? You know, if you were white, you're talking to your white girlfriend or the white girl walking down the street. She had a nice little, she had a nice little feather cut, or she had a nice hair, new color in hair. Wouldn't you just say, "Oh, I like that color," or "Oh, I really like your hair today," or "Oh, what salon do you go to?" We could just stick it right there. Like, we don't have to. It's the invasion of personal space that becomes the issue. Like, you don't have to pet me because you like my hair. And I mean, that really does speak to, seeing us as other, seeing us as almost like we're exhibits. While Brandye's working on her line, like, I went to boarding school for high school, right? So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. So my friends call me a unicorn because I went to boarding school and then I came back and went to Northwestern. And so and so like one of the Kennedys spoke at my graduation. So when I say boarding school, I mean like boarding school, okay, where the other people go to school, right? And
Sure.
so you become like, oh, okay, like you're the scholarship kid, you're the inner city kid. So you are the unicorn on this campus. You are the unicorn on this campus. So they want to touch, they want to feel, they want to pet, and it takes so much effort. I developed Matrix moves before the Matrix came out because I'm just like, whoa, okay, excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's the truth.
And I mean, that speaks to privilege. That speaks, you know what I'm saying? That speaks to privilege because no one that I know, like Ethan was like, what? That's the thing? I know, like, you have to be so emboldened to walk into someone's personal space and just start. If I started filling you up, Ethan, wouldn't you feel violated?
So to be clear, I don't like being touched by people I don't know. Like when I DJ'd, I would actively I would keep my back as close to a wall as possible. Like when someone comes up behind me and tries to grab my shoulders, it's like fight or flight. Like I do not like that.
Yes.
Like if you want to touch me or if you want to give me a hug, ask me, but don't come to my personal space. I don't like it.
Yes. And so, again, it's the kind of voyeurism around anything that's different. I am, and again, it's the educator in me. And, and I just like yesterday, I've been trying really hard to balance my rage and the educator side of me. Right. And so I've been trying to lead with, let me school you versus lead with, let me school you. Do you understand the difference between the two of those things?
I understand the difference. Ethan, did you catch the difference there? Because there's a difference.
No, I actually did not. I apologize.
Translation, code switch, Rick. Go for it.
That's what it is. So the let me school you, the first one was, listen, let's talk about this. The let me school you is back up off me.
Yeah, it's a clap back, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, and so, and I mean, this is such a weighted conversation around Black hair, Black imagery. You know what I'm saying? What is the measure of, we talk about what is the measure of professionalism when it comes to Black hair. I mean, there's so many things that go underneath this. And I think that her question, I'm glad that she was brave enough to ask it because people don't ask that question. I much prefer her to say exactly that to me. You know what I mean? Like, I think that for some, I don't know where the mystery comes from or where the fear comes from, where people who aren't of color think that if they ask, they'll be ridiculed or they'll be attacked or what have you. I would much prefer you to ask me than to make an assumption and to insert your privilege into my space.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's really what it comes down to. So to answer the sister's question, just ask, girl. Just say, girl, your hair is so pretty. Is that I don't even mind if she says, is that yours? Because we know we buy our hair. So it's okay. She can even say, is that yours? And I'll say, no, these are locks. These are not braids. I give my teeth, like, these are locks. This is attached to my head. No, it doesn't come out. We have all those comments, and that's okay. That's okay. And I think that I would encourage, my non-melanated brothers and sisters to just ask the questions that you want answers to. That opens a line of communication. You will know, just like you know who the a-hole white guy is, you will know who the a-hole black guy is. So you will edit your questions based on their a-holeness, not their color.
I like that. Based off their
What a great
a-hole.
way to put that. Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
I was always, it was always amazing to me as I grew my hair out, how many people were just interested and would go for touching my locks without consent, as Cynthia McDonald mentioned. Consent matters. That would just go right in for the, oh my God, let me touch it. Oh my God, it's getting long. Can I feel it? As if it's this as I believe Al Young said, it's exotic to these individuals.
It is exotic, right? And I understand that.
I can appreciate the ask before, but now we were addressing this question as if it were a woman asking a black woman, how to compliment a woman asking how to compliment a black woman's hair. What if it's a man? Is it the same thing?
I would say absolutely. The last guy I dated was a white guy, and he fully was like, "I am in love with your hair. What? Tell me about it." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, it didn't help that he was cute, so I was like, "All right, I'll tell you about it." But what I'm saying, like, yes, absolutely, your hair is beautiful. Just say that. Women love that. Say that to them.
Sure.
If you start off with that, if you say, we love that. So just start off with that. I feel like there is we've been otherized so much into like that people think that we're going to react irrationally and we're going to act, spontaneously in violence or something. If you come into, it was like, come on, like the reality of it is that the same things that we want in the chocolate house, they want in the vanilla house. You know what I'm saying? You want the same things. And so it doesn't make any sense for us not to have just regular folk conversations. There are some things that, yes, we need to be addressed when it comes to race. This don't need to be a hot button topic. You know what I'm saying? It don't need to be. It can just be you getting to know me and me getting to know you. And I mean, that's the reality of it. I love looking. I mean, if Ethan, you grow your hair out, let me see you shake them locks. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see. Oh, I like hair. I'm able to give a compliment to him just like I'm able to give a compliment to you. So I just we don't need to make everything an issue, but I think that the respect needs to come. And like you said, don't touch me without consent. Like what, no, I'm not a pet. I'm not, right. Human zoos did exist, by the way. Did you know that? Did y'all know that, by the way?
No.
Human zoos in this country and in Europe did exist. They had Africans on display like zoo animals. And you would go to the zoo and there would be lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and a black person and their family with a hut or what have you, and what was representative of their native homeland, or what they deemed was African. They probably were people from 3 different tribes and the same thing, but they called them all the same thing. So that type of voyeurism still exists today. We're just not, and and especially with the society that we live in, where we all live in these isolated, homogeneous communities because of race-based communities, and of course we'll get into that. That's another stuff.
That's a whole other conversation about redlining.
But okay, Brandye, you came back. Hey, she's back.
Hi, I'm back. I don't know what happened. I had to change devices, spaces, Wi-Fi, everything.
It looks great.
Okay, good.
I have a question for actually all 3 of you from the comments. I think this is a great question because I often wonder this myself. Can you just so question is, as a white male, is it even possible to transcend white privilege? And to add on to that, or is it only possible to be completely aware of it?
No, it's not possible to transcend it.
What she did.
I would definitely go with
I mean, it's not because of how Right.
ahead.
It's because of how the system was designed that there is no way that you can transcend it. It is possible to be aware of it and act differently. Absolutely. But no, sorry, I'm not sure who answered that question. I didn't see the name, but it is not possible to transcend it.
That was D Meadows that asked the question.
My first question was going to be, what do you mean by transcend? So
yeah, you know, and I would even piggyback on what she would say if I agree with her answer. What just happened? Did I freeze? Okay, there we go. I agree with her answer. I agree with your answer, Brandye. But I would also add to that, if there was a way to transcend it, we would need to talk to me when we've had as much time after slavery and Jim Crow and mass incarceration, you know, and civil rights movement and mass incarceration. You know, talk to me when we've had enough time, including slavery, that has passed, where the systems have been rebuilt and restructured, and you know what I'm saying, and the ideologies have been squashed. Talk to me 400 plus years from now about transcending the privilege. In the time that the here and now today, no, because those systems are still in place. And then there's so much what's the word? There's so much indifference to the systems, and then there's denial of the systems. And so first, you know, you have to acknowledge that you're sick before you can even address, you know, finding a cure.
Getting well, exactly.
As we saw in your video, LaShandra, there's still this obnoxiousness, whatever, towards this system, obliviousness to this system, or willful ignorance is what I call it.
I was going to say it's not even oblivious. It's a willful ignorance is what it is.
It's what it is. It's willful ignorance. Brandye, thank you so much for joining us. We were talking to LaShandra mentioned her experience with this, but talk to us about the best way someone can compliment your hair that's white, and what has been your experience, because you were bald like me and you've been growing your hair, so you've come across this, I would say, relatively recently, right? In this experience of people wanting to touch your hair.
Absolutely. So I will say this. Let me first start off with saying I am very black and white in my statements. I am very literal in what I say. So I don't know how people receive me sometimes. I will lead with this. I need white people to stop treating this like this is a science. Want for black people the same things you want for yourselves. So if you want to compliment somebody's hair, how would you want to be complimented on their hair? And then do that. Now we answer that question. In terms of my experience,
that's simple, direct. I love it.
I mean, really, it is not a science. It's just wanting for me the same things you want for you. There's no complication to that.
Stop making it bigger than it has to be. It doesn't, you know.
Exactly. It's just a hair compliment, but then also knowing that I don't have to respond in a way that makes you comfortable to your compliment. You compliment, it's okay, it's over, we move on, whatever. In terms of my experiences, so I was bald for a very long time. I cut my hair off in the heat wave of 95. I decided 2 years ago to start letting my hair grow back. And I worked in a medical facility, and I was talking to, at this point, I was about 6 months into my hair growth, and it was pretty full, but it was curly. So there was this nurse who was visiting the office that day. So she had known me from my bald days, but hadn't seen me since my hair had grown. So we're standing there and we're talking very specifically about my hair growth and which one was easier, which one I preferred. In the midst of that conversation, she takes her right hand and goes upside the right side of my head and begins to pat around to feel it. I mean, there was no, while if even if she had asked, I would have told her that she should not. And what bothered me the most about that encounter is I did not say a thing. I froze. And I let her pat me. I was in complete shock, because I'm gonna be honest, that was my first encounter of somebody actually touching my hair. I've had people touch my face because they were amazed by my skin, or touch my arm because my skin was soft and it was smooth and it was brown. And I've had that happen, but I had never had anybody touch my hair. And maybe because I had been bald, I hadn't had nobody who was not black touch my head or my hair. That had never been my experience. So this was all new to me. And I froze. And for the rest of the day, I was bothered that I didn't say anything to this woman. I didn't correct her because that is a microaggression, whether she knew it or not. It is a microaggression. And I beat myself up the rest of the day about that encounter. Now, not too long after that, another non-Black person who is a physician wanted to touch my hair. And I was like, whoa, whoa. It's like the Matrix that you mentioned. Like, we don't do that over here. What are you doing? Like, you don't touch people. I am not an artifact. First of all, and because I talked to a coworker about this on today, and she was like, well, I don't see what the big deal is. I was like, it's like touching a woman's booty. Would you do it? Why would you touch a person without permission?
Right. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yes. And as an educator, we're told to do that all the time. We're like, you don't hug students. You know what I'm saying? They may be your best student in the room. They may love on you and you love on them, but no, you don't touch kids without permission. You don't touch other adults without permission. That's just common decency.
That's just the way it is. You just don't touch people without permission. And I feel like for so long we have not been counted. It's just not even we're not even a consideration how that would have made me feel or did make me feel. And even when I talked to my manager about it, he looked at me like I was crazy. Like, so what's the big deal?
Right.
And I had to do this. I had to ask him, how would you feel if somebody grabbed your crotch, unsolicited, in mid-conversation?
That's actually happened to me before, repeatedly. I used to work in a bar, and I would get the weirdest stuff. And I'm like, just don't touch me. I don't know you.
Right. Where do people, it's this entitlement. Like, where do y'all get this from? To put your hands on people. I wasn't raised that way. I was taught to keep my hands to myself.
Well, I had an experience in Evanston at a live. There was a band that was playing at one of these restaurants and bars in Evanston, and everyone was having a great time. You know, it was a mix of people that were in there, and you know, my hair was down. This is twisted today, but it was down. My hair, you can't see it. It touches my butt almost. And oh my goodness, I swear my inbox is blowing up with people asking for stuff. It's crazy. So
I'm telling you, I'm gonna get that autograph.
Welcome to the life of viral. Right.
Oh my God, right. But so the woman, she went to go touch my hair, and I did the whole Matrix, you know, the Matrix / like Karate Kid, like wax on, wax off move you got to do to protect yourself, right?
Right.
And I was like, and so I touched her arm, and I was like, no, sweetie, we don't do that. I said, please don't touch my hair. And I said it just like that. I wasn't, because you know, we're all like, we're drinking, we're having nice. I was like, no, lady, no. And she said to me, why? You just touched my shirt. And I was like,
oh.
I was like,
okay.
oh, so my hair is equivalent to your shirt. I was like, oh,
right.
You know,
I had a response, but I didn't, because I went ahead and stepped on the other side of the people I was with, because I was like, yeah, we can't dance in the same bubble, because I'm gonna throw elbows after this. So,
sure.
You know,
that Southside almost came out / boarding school real
you
effective.
know, it really did. You know, we call it bugetto.
Right, exactly. That is a thing.
You understand that word? You understand that word?
Bugetto. It's a thing. It's a thing. For the people that are watching, make sure you write that word down. If you have questions, let us know. Hey, ladies.
The spelling may vary. The spelling may vary, but it's a word.
It is a thing.
I'm grateful for you two sharing your experiences and your story, and thank you for answering the question. I hope that Kendra, you can take that back to the person that asked. I wanted you all, before we wrap up the show, I think that people don't really get the perspective and understanding that in this fight for equality and against racism, Black women have it really tough. And I don't think people really understand that. I don't think people really understand what the world looks like and what the fight looks like from your perspective. So I'd really, if you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to give your perspective, your perception of what the fight looks like for Black women. I mean, we opened our show with Breonna Taylor, still ain't got justice yet, right?
Mm-hmm. The FBI
still don't know what happened to
investigated,
Sandra
right?
Bland. Sure, maybe that's up in the air too, right? People really don't understand that Black women have an extensive, brutal fight on their hands on so many different, on a myriad of platforms when we talk about this. So I just wanted you all to kind of share with our viewers your perception of what this fight looks like for inequality and anti-racism from your perspective. Brandye, I'll start with you.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting because to paint a picture from my perspective, not too long ago, I saw a meme, and there's a white woman who's holding a sign that says something about "I love Black penis, so I'm gonna be in this fight" or something or whatever. And the person that it was shared on Facebook, and all of the Black men that were praising her, praising this post. And I was like, you don't even realize you've been objectified. But then also, when the Black women were responding and pointing out what was problematic about the statement, we got attacked by the white women and then by the Black men about being difficult and we were being racist. I'm like, first of all, we can't, but okay, fine. And how they were not trying to even consider how the statement was problematic. Then also, I saw another meme of a Black man hugging a white woman that said something like, "Don't, if they shoot, stand behind me." And she has this on her shirt. And again, this was a statement where they were praising white women for protecting Black men. And I was like, well, the reality is, if they shoot or not, we standing in front of you. Whether they shoot or not, we are standing in front of you. So we always get the short end of the stick. We never get considered in this, the intersectionality that we are experiencing with both the race and well, that's another story. But anyway, it's hard.
Gender equality, yeah.
Yeah, real hard. It's hard. And I have a statement that I always say, but I won't say it here because I won't start no controversy. I'm gonna say this for the podcast. But I will say it. The biggest threat to the advancement or the liberation of Black people is two entities, and that is mostly Black men and white women. That is the biggest threat. Yes. That is our biggest threat.
Did you watch my video?
And which is why I wanted to talk about it, because
I already saw that part, Brandye, in the video, but I mean,
yeah,
I got accosted by. I'm like, brother, what? you know, and I mean, that's. I understand where that statement comes from. I definitely understand where that statement comes from, and and it's unfortunate that it even has to be a statement that's made because the evidence is so in support of it.
Right.
You know, it's not an easy pill to swallow. And
I didn't want to say it, but I can't help myself. Right. I have to say it.
Right. It's not an easy pill to swallow. And the sad part about it, and I mean, like, I date whoever I feel like dating. You know what I'm saying? My ex-husband for 20 years was Black, and oh my Lord, stop that. Keep swiping across my phone. You know what I mean? So I date whoever I feel like dating. Like I said, we talked about a few minutes ago about a-holeness, right? Really, it's about your a-holeness to me, at this point. But a friend of mine told me this recently, and I was taken aback by it. Two things that just happened. So I taught an anti-racist series on how to become an anti-racist educator for my network. And part of the homework before the second session was for everyone to go and take the implicit bias test around race. Mm. If you have not taken it, I would suggest that you take it. And I would suggest to anyone that's listening and watching, take it also. It is extremely enlightening. And so I put myself on blast. I put myself on blast around race because when the results came back, it said that I was moderately more, had more affinity towards whites than Blacks. And I was like, what? And then I sat back and I thought about it. A friend of mine kind of brought it to light. My partner at my job, like, he's my work husband, like, we're simpatico. We, we bounce ideas off each other. Awesome man, awesome support of me, and vice versa. We have a great working relationship. And he came out, he said, well, LaShandra, think about it. He said, the biggest and resounding memories you have that involve trauma in your life involve the Black men in your life. Whether it be hurt, betrayal, or what have you. And he said, and so because you dance in both these worlds, of course, you would kind of, step to the side a little bit when it comes to future interactions with Black men because you have been damaged by Black men. And I was like, okay, I, of course, in my defense of that, was saying, well, no, they're just men. And he was like, yeah. He's like, but think about the test you took. Think about the results of the test you took and think about your history, and the stories that you've told, whether it be authoritarian, father-like figures, whether it be men that have betrayed or what have you, whether it be men on the beaches that assault me in front of racist white people, you know what I'm saying? He was like,
them too.
And that's a heavy, heavy thing to think about personally.
Sure.
And on the other side of that, I've also equally been betrayed and hurt by white women in this. They want to take over the narrative when it comes to me express. They want to tone police me. I can't even tell you the number of times that, yes, I realize I am an educator. I have a loud voice. I developed that loud voice for classroom and teacher settings, but you dismiss everything that comes out of my mouth because your feelings get in the way about my tone. So I'm automatically the angry Black woman. So you dismiss me, or you step in front of me and you speak for me. And I've had to silence friends and tell them, look, this is not your story to tell. This is not your, this is not your right to tell the story. You do not put. I even for Dear Evanston, the woman wrote an article about me yesterday. I was like, send it to me. And she was like, send it to me. And I rewrote half the darn article. I was like, these are the words that represent me, not the words that you represent. And so I'm really big on being able to be the author of my own narrative. And so I definitely hear what you're saying. It's a really hard pill to swallow because you don't want to think that, but I will say this and then I'll be quiet. I will say that Black men have been put in this position. I think that this is a side effect of the position that Black men have been put in. White women have been put on a pedestal since they got here in relation to Black men, and they've been put on a pedestal for their safety purposes. Because of course, Rick, you are a hypersexual, aggressive Black man that will defile the Black woman. There's posters about that back in the day.
Or any woman, for that matter.
Or any woman, exactly.
Even though I'm gay, like that's still the perception. That's the perception already.
Still
perception.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's a choice. So, sir, that's a choice. Of course, you can always.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
That's a choice. Yeah.
So that's one. And then Black men have been made to distance themselves from their women and their children. Slavery, housing policies that dealt with the welfare reform and things so there's so many things, the mass incarceration of Black men. And so these are systemic things and that have been symptoms that have been brought about by this whole the whole rocky foundation and ugly foundation of racism in this country. And so I understand why Brandye said that, because this is the byproduct of a system that has been left unchecked for generations.
Yeah.
And I think that's you all bring up the point that needs to be driven home here before we wrap up. White supremacy is the system that has developed all of this, and here are your byproducts of it. It's up to us. It's up to people like LaShandra. It's up to creating spaces like Brandye does and we do here in Black and White to address these racist situations, address them and these racist behaviors, and calling it out. So,
can I just say one thing to you, Ethan? Also, I'm very, Rick told me about you, and I'm very impressed by you in the sense that you're open to the conversation and the dialogue, and in this dialogue, you've been open to listening to it. Now you may have processing it, however, you may have your own views on it. And I hope that you feel comfortable and free enough to express those views when you get off the air, Rick, or what have you. But the fact that that you ask questions and you sit back to hear the answer so that you can go and process them later is exactly part of the anti-racist kind of work. You know what I mean? Because there is a difference, you know, there what is it? It's a cultural competence and cultural humility. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? And so you have cultural humility. You know that you don't have all the answers. Hell, we don't have all the answers. You know, people who walk around thinking they you know, they're culturally competent act like they know everything about everyone and everything, and they speak from a place of knowing. And I'm like, no, you can't be the voice of my struggle and my oppression because you have benefited from it.
We did a show called "Hey, You Can't Say That."
Thank you for saying that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ethan, because I was thinking the same thing. The one thing I have been having a lot of conversations recently. A lot of white women reach out to me in my inbox on like, what do I do? What do I say? I don't know. I don't want to be racist anymore. And we have these conversations. What I can appreciate about you, Ethan, is you are not centering your voice in the conversation. And a lot of the experiences that I have, that's what's happening. People are not there. There is no humility in the conversation. So I find myself having to do two things, teach you and shut you up. And that's exhausting. So I do appreciate that.
Right. Yeah. And it causes defensiveness, you know, on the other side of it. It causes defensiveness, you know, on both sides. Because I'm like, you know, why do you think that your take on this is more valuable than mine? When you have the benefit of your privilege gives you benefits that I don't have. Like, I don't understand that. So I know. So I just wanted to say shout out to you, Ethan, because you have been sitting over there in your corner, and I'm like, you know what, Ethan, I want to tell you that's what's up, man.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so here's how I look at this. This is a learning opportunity for me. Like, this is not necessarily just about me coming on and having a voice. It's about giving voices to other people, and doing what I can to lift those voices up. And I have a lot to learn about this. So the last thing I'm going to do is sit here and commentate. I'm going to listen to the people who are out in this, who experience this, because I'm a white dude. I'm not going to pretend to know what you go through or what you feel. So the best thing I can do is listen and give you a voice.
Well, thank you. I just want to say this one last thing we talked about, and this anti-racist, and I'll be quiet, I promise.
You sure can. We'll wrap up after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I really quickly, like, we had a discussion about the difference between guilt and shame, and you know, in relations to white guilt versus guilt and white shame. And reading one of books I read, the author was talking about the difference between white guilt and white shame is that white guilt means that you are bad, and there's something that you can do about it. So you know what I'm saying? Like, you did it, it's done. I cannot fix the problem, so now I feel guilty about it. Right? And you're saying to yourself, because I'm guilty. There's something, you can't change that verdict. I'm guilty. But shame means I feel bad about it. And it leaves the door open for fixing what you feel bad about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The first is more of a passive place to be in.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, I feel, oh man, I messed that up. That's a form of shame. Dang, I messed that up. But, you know, blacks have shame. Everyone has shame. But shame is something, it shouldn't be looked at as something that cannot be changed. It is a learning moment. You know, dang, I messed that up. What do I do to fix it? And then you actively go forth to fix it. But if people are walking around saying, if people have been aggressive towards me saying, I'm not about, you want me to be guilty. I wasn't there. I didn't hold any slaves. It's like, no, I don't want you to be guilty, because you see guilt as a life sentence. I want you to feel shame. I want you to call your ancestors on the carpet and be ashamed of what they did, and then fix that shit.
So off of what you're saying, that brings up something I saw. Like there is this thing going around, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that you have white people being like, I'm sorry for being white, and then other whites like, oh, the black community is demanding we are sorry for being born white. Like, I'm sorry. I think I'm pretty out there. I have never, ever had a single person say to me, be sorry for being white. Where does that even come from? And do
white
any
people.
of you feel that way?
It comes from white people. No.
Where your folks from?
It comes from.
Where your folks from? Like, where your people from?
Oh, Albania, actually.
Okay, so you're not white, you're Albanian. So I don't need you to be sorry to be white. And I definitely don't want you to be sorry to be Albanian. White is a social construct. So maybe you should be sorry to be white because you made that up. Like it's we can talk about that in another session. But like you're Albanian, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but also I think to take that stance though is to now put the onus on me to somehow feel sorry for the system that you created that oppresses me. No, I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's what
I want you to fix
needs
it.
to happen. Right. Don't worry about being sorry. We ain't worried about you tearing down statues. We want you to take down these things.
I want to be able to
address
get a
the system.
house
Pancakes.
wherever I want to get a house. I want to be able to go to school and exist in jobs and people not touch my hair or tell me I'm too angry or too loud or whatever. I want you to fix these systems that have been created. I don't care if you ever apologize again. I don't want you to.
Right. Just show me the work for real.
This broken country. Exactly. There's work to be done. Do it.
What is saying? Apology without change is manipulation.
Period. And I don't like to be manipulated.
Apology
exactly. What was it? Apology without
change is manipulation.
Change is manipulation. Yes. Write that down. Well, ladies, I don't want to keep
for real.
If Ethan, did you have anything that you wanted to throw in there before we wrap up? Because you have been, and I will say this as I said before. I don't know if you ladies heard. We would not have this platform and the show if it wasn't for Mr. Ethan Micheal.
We don't have to do that every episode. I appreciate it. We don't have to do that every episode.
Hey, I just wanted to piggyback on it. They started it.
Well, I appreciate it. Anyways.
Any last thoughts and how can people find you?
You can find me on Spotify and Anchor at the Take This L podcast. You can also find me on Instagram at Brand_ELLE and on Facebook at the Dammit I Ain't Angry podcast page. We go live there every Monday, so check us out.
And just to note, that is LELLE and Take This L. Love that.
Yes,
I like that.
LaShandra, any last words? And what do you have coming up? I know you mentioned at the end of your video that there's some anti-racism seminar or conference you got going on.
So,
tell people how they can locate you.
Okay, so actually what I'm a part of every single person committed to anti-racism, which is in Evanston. It's an online group in Evanston. And so what we're doing right now is we're in the planning stages of having an anti-racism virtual conference. And so actually one of our planning meetings is this Sunday. And so when we get the dates and everything, am I frozen? Oh no.
Nope.
No.
Oh, you're good.
Nope.
When we get the dates and everything, I would love to come back on and talk to you guys, even have some of you guys be presenters or on the panel for it. That would be awesome. I would ask that if you are available and if you are in town or nearby tomorrow between 2 and 4 to stop by and show your solidarity with your mask on for the protest at Lighthouse Beach in Evanston. So that will be tomorrow at between 2 and 4. I would say parking is sparse, so park in the neighborhood and walk over. But come over, please, with your signs. And I also I think we should have us a little Black family barbecue over at Lighthouse Beach. You know what I'm saying? People's like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what should happen because I feel like if you felt uncomfortable because I was there causing the ruckus, wait till I invite the family. So.
Listen, we can't have everybody.
When the barbecue is.
No, we can't have everybody at the cookout. We saw what happened when Joe Biden went to the cookout. He started saying things that he wasn't supposed to say. So
that's all right. I said let it come out. No. I said let it come out. Everybody be on God this year. Remember, we started off talking about some 2020 vision before COVID here, right? We still need to have that 2020 vision. But so all it come out. But I want to see Ethan do the wobble though. That's what I really want. So.
If we can see Ethan do the wobble, I think that could be a thing. Hey, ladies, thank you so much for joining us this evening. LaShandra will probably be coming up on somebody's news broadcast, so I'm grateful that you spent your first time presenting your story here on YFNA News. Check out Brandye Elle.
I'm glad I got to meet you.
Yes.
I am. Can you everybody's information, please? I want to know y'all.
Okay, I'm going to inbox you.
Stick around before we'll take you off screen here, but stick around for just a moment and we'll wrap up the show with you all there just a bit. Man, that was we had time to catch up, man, Ethan. We haven't been on for the past 2 weeks, so we had to catch up on some things.
Yes, absolutely. That was a good episode. That was enjoyable. Interesting, very interesting video. I will say that. I don't get it. At the end of the day, I try and see the other side, but I just don't understand why people still want to use the Confederate flag. It just makes no sense to me.
It doesn't.
But hopefully we can keep spreading awareness and educating them and eventually get to a place in this country where people aren't still using that flag. That would be really nice.
Well, after LaShandra put her video up or went live, people, the family there, they left. And at the end of the day, it may just take that. It may take people to come up and speak out in the same manner, and not just black people or people of color, but everybody that's here doing this anti-racism work.
Agree. And if you like what we do, there is our Patreon in the description. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month, or you can buy us a cup of coffee. Rick's the coffee drinker.
I like it black. I say this every show.
And I like it white.
They're coming out with some white coffee later. They call it milk.
Okay, yeah, technically I do just take an abnormal amount of milk and put it in my coffee to the point that it is white, so.
Or it's just light skin. Hey, guys, thanks so much for watching. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe this video. Share on your platform. Subscribe to YFNA News so that you can hit the alarm so that you can get all of the alerts for when our videos go live. Tune in on, this Sunday, I believe we have our new news segment, our new 30 Minutes news segment with Cynthia McDonald and myself. You'll see postings about that coming up. But definitely tune in Monday night for the 13% with Miss Cynthia McDonald and Mr. Arthur Ward here on YFNA News at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Always a great topic on the 13%. Love getting a chance to watch that show. And then the Political Perspectives is on YFNA News. Is that correct, Ethan?
That's correct. Although the time and day may change, I'm still trying to figure that out. It is a weekly call-in show where you can call in and voice your opinion and let us know where you stand. Trump, Biden, what your thoughts are on the current political climate.
And I'll actually be... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, please. You'll be co-hosting next week, correct?
I'll be co-hosting with you next week on the Political Perspectives. That's a call-in show for anyone who has some political views they want to share. People have been talking about, hey, I want to share some political views. I'm like, check out Political Perspectives. I don't know why you haven't yet. You can call in, share your political views on any political topic that you'd like. I'm excited to co-host with you there tomorrow. Also, tomorrow morning, 7. What time is the damn show? Is it 7 or 8 Central Daylight?
Oh, you're going to be on the damn show? It's going to be
tomorrow
8
morning.
Central Daylight Time. Man,
Tomorrow
you're getting
morning.
everywhere.
Hey, I'm trying to catch up with Cynthia McDonald. So Cynthia McDonald and I will be co-hosting. Well, Cynthia McDonald will be co-hosting with Chris Mallard. I'll be there joining as a guest on the Daily Atheist Morning Show, or the Damn Show, which we love saying, tomorrow morning at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time here on YouTube. Check them out. It's going to be another conversation about racial injustice and systemic racism as well. Tune in because this conversation needs to continue to happen. And as we always say, as long as there's racism to fight.
I was trying to remember it. I was going to be like, hang on. As long as there's racism to fight, there will always be in black and white.
Have a good night, everybody.